Okay.
Adequate notice of this meeting of the mayor and council was sent to the Asbury Park Press and the Co-Star, our official newspapers, and notice of this meeting was posted on the bulletin board and the municipal website. Take roll call. Councilwoman Donovan? Here. Councilwoman McKinney? Here. Mayor Buckafusco?
Here.
Councilman de Blasio?
Here.
Councilman Maroney?
Here. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence for our troops, their families, and all the first responders. Okay, thank you. Okay, this evening we have a number of proclamations. EMS Week, Beach Safety Week, Police Week, and we're going to have a presentation honoring Tom Walsh. So why don't we start with the EMS Week proclamation.
Thank you so much. Okay, Emergency Medical Services Week is May 17th to the 23rd. To designate this week of May 17th to the 23rd, 2026 as Emergency Medical Services Week in the borough of Belmar, New Jersey. Whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service that stands as one of the cornerstones of health and safety in the borough of Belmar. And whereas the members of emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. And whereas emergency medical services fill healthcare gaps by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventative medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine. And whereas the emergency medical services system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the police, of the public, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers. And whereas the members of emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week. Now therefore be it resolved that the borough of Belmar does hereby proclaim the week of May 17th to the 23rd of 2026 as Emergency Medical Services Week in the borough of Belmar, in recognition of the 52nd anniversary of EMS Week and the spirit of this year's theme, EMS Week, Improving Outcomes Together.
Thank you. Let's go on to Beach Safety Week. Councilwoman Donovan.
Before I begin, I just would be remiss without welcoming Harry Harson, our chief lifeguard, and all the lifeguards, water rescue, and first responders that we have here. Thank you so much for being here tonight, and thank you for all the work you've done in the past and the summer that we're going to have for keeping our shore and our swimmers safe. National Beach Safety Week. Whereas the borough of Belmar, New Jersey is a coastal community whose beaches are enjoyed by residents and visitors alike, particularly as the summer season begins. Whereas the United States Lifeguarding Association sponsors National Beach Safety Week annually to remind all beachgoers to use caution in the aquatic environment. Whereas National Beach Safety Week is designated to begin the Monday before Memorial Day and ends 7 days later on Memorial Day Monday. Whereas this annual observance emphasizes essential water safety practices such as learning the USLA's top 10 beach and water safety tips, knowing how to spot and escape rip currents, and always swimming within the vicinity of an open lifeguard stand. Whereas promoting beach and water safety is a fundamental responsibility for the borough of Belmar to protect the lives and well-being of all individuals who enjoy our shore. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the mayor and council of the borough of Belmar, New Jersey, do hereby recognize and declare the week of Monday, May 18th, 2026, through Monday, May 25th, 2026, as National Beach Safety Week in the borough of Belmar. And be it further proclaimed that all residents, visitors, and community organizations are encouraged to observe this week and commit to practicing and promoting water safety in all beach activities.
Thank you. One more to go, that's National Police Week, I'll do that. It's from May 11th to May 16th, 2026, in honor of the men and women of the Belmar Police Department who serve with dedication, courage, and integrity to keep our community safe. Whereas the men and women of the Belmar Police Department selflessly serve our residents, businesses, and visitors each and every day, often at great personal risk. And whereas the officers of the Belmar Police Department have demonstrated an unwavering commitment to protecting life, preserving peace, and upholding the rights of all people in our community. And whereas law enforcement officers across the nation, including those who have proudly worn the Belmar badge, have made the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty, and their memory deserves to be honored and preserved. And whereas the families of Belmar police officers share in the sacrifice of service, supporting their loved ones through long hours, dangerous conditions, and the demands of a calling greater than themselves. And whereas May 15th is designated as Peace Officers Memorial Day, a national day of remembrance for all fallen officers and their families, on which U.S. flags are flown at half-staff. And whereas National Police Week, observed May 11th through 16th, 2026, provides an opportunity for our community to come together in gratitude and recognition of those who serve and protect us. Now therefore be it resolved that the Borough of Belmar does hereby proclaim May 11th through 16th, 2026 as National Police Week in the Borough of Belmar, New Jersey, and calls upon all residents to recognize and celebrate the professionalism, bravery, and dedication of the Belmar Police Department, and to honor the memory of all officers who have given their lives in service to their communities. And now we're going to proceed with a ceremony honoring Tom Walsh, and I'll invite the council to step down.
Okay, what I have is a proclamation honoring Thomas Walsh for his extraordinary act of heroism and selfless courage. Whereas Thomas Walsh, a resident of Freehill Township and a former Monmouth County Corrections Officer, is recognized throughout the community as a person of extraordinary character, bravery, and dedication to the welfare of others. And whereas on the evening of August 15th, after lifeguards had concluded their duties for the day, Thomas Walsh was present at the 8th Avenue beach in Belmar when he was urgently alerted by bystanders that a child was in distress in the ocean. And whereas, without hesitation and in complete disregard of his own safety, Thomas Walsh immediately entered the ocean and through great physical effort and determination, located a 12-year-old girl who had been caught in a powerful rip current near the jetty and was in imminent danger. And whereas Thomas Walsh, drawing upon his years of experience as a surfer, brought the young girl to safety on the jetty rocks, performing a swift and courageous rescue that preserved her life. And whereas the actions of Thomas Walsh on that evening stand as a profound demonstration of compassion and the spirit of a true Good Samaritan, qualities that reflect the finest values of the Borough of Belmar and the broader community he calls home. And whereas Thomas Walsh has since used this experience to advocate publicly for ocean safety, encouraging beachgoers to swim only when lifeguards are on duty, and urging school districts and community organizations to provide water safety education to residents, particularly to young people who may be unfamiliar with the dangers of ocean currents. And now, therefore, be it proclaimed, the Mayor and Borough Council of the Borough of Belmar in the County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey, that we do hereby extend our deepest gratitude, admiration, and the highest commendation of this governing body to Thomas Walsh in recognition for his extraordinary bravery and selfless heroism in saving the life of a young girl on Belmar Beach on August 15, 2025. May his courage and commitment to the community serve as an enduring inspiration to all residents in the Borough of Belmar and beyond.
I just happened to be the closest to this young lady and did what I did. Mr. de Blasio, Mr. Bert Rothenberg, there's other gentlemen that showed up to help and looking for her sister. It's a tragic, terrible thing that it really could be avoided. It's senseless. I just want to thank everybody. Miss Ellen, my big cheerleader right there, Miss Ellen. Thank you. Thank everybody. Thank you.
Do you want to take a closer picture?
Family or anything?
Yeah,
They can come up if they want.
Oh, no. You don't have to run though, it's okay.
Somebody got it.
Here we go.
Hardly read it.
Professional photographer. I have to take a few.
I'm trying to be cool.
I'm just gonna take a picture. No, I don't want to be in it. I'm not the one that saved anybody.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
So, in addition to honoring Tom, I just want to take this moment to bring attention to the work our lifeguards do and the water rescue did that day and do every day. Like Tom said, I was personally there. I witnessed a 45-minute nonstop coordinated effort looking for her sister. It wasn't easy to see. It wasn't easy to be there. It's not easy to talk about it. But our guards are there for us, and we need to recognize them too. They keep us safe every day, saving lives every day. There is no easy day at work for our ocean lifeguards. With that said, I'd like to introduce our chief lifeguard, Harry Harson. We'll talk about some key ocean safety and beach tips. If we can all listen, learn, talk to others about this, maybe one day we can make their lives just a little bit easier.
Ingrid's gonna do it. First of all, I'd like to thank the mayor and council for bringing attention to this very important issue as water safety. As you know, Belmar is very fortunate to have a beachfront, and it's certainly, our crown jewel. I also want to thank all my fellow Belmar lifeguards and water rescue team members that showed up today. I know a lot of them are still in college and weren't able to make it, but I'm happy to see the ones that are here, and I do truly appreciate it. Geographically speaking, Belmar is like an island. We have the Atlantic Ocean to our east, the Shark River to our west, the inlet to the north, Lake Como to the south, and God planted Silver Lake in the middle. So, having grown up in Belmar and becoming a lifeguard in 1979 and serving 27 years as a Belmar police officer, I can assure you that all these bodies of water have had their fair share of water-related emergencies throughout my career. And before I talk about water safety, I just want to give you a little insight about the Belmar Beach Patrol that most people aren't really aware of. The stereotype of a lifeguard wearing mirrored sunglasses and zinc oxide on their nose is long over. It's no easy task becoming an ocean lifeguard, especially in Belmar. First, you need to pass a 500-yard swim test in under 10 minutes, which is 5 football fields, so that's not easy. Then you have to attend approximately 3 weeks of rookie camp, 3 hours a day. At camp, you learn everything there is to know about being an ocean lifeguard, from blowing the whistle to jet ski rescues and everything in between. You learn our policies and procedures. You're trained in advanced first aid and CPR, as is every lifeguard. We put a strong emphasis on physical training, and why? I'll give you a quick example. If you are stationed on 10th Avenue and 18th Avenue has a big job and they're calling for a backup, well, you have to grab the torque. You have to now run 8 blocks in the sand, and now you have to get there and do what they need you to do, whether it's swim a line, swim a torque, row a boat, paddle a board out, pull somebody in. So you can't get there and do like this. Now you got to do. So we put a huge emphasis on physical training because it is a very physical job. We also teach you to become familiar in unfamiliar situations. I use that a lot in my rookie training camp. So what does that mean? So we teach you how to jump into rough water when you normally wouldn't. We teach you how to jump into a rip current when you normally wouldn't. So it helps you get to the victim quicker. Use it to your advantage. We teach you to swim around jetties instead of away from them, because a lot of times the victims that we deal with, are close to the rocks, and we try to go out to them on one side. The next thing you know, the current's taking them around and the other, so we got to get to them and bring them around, and the waves are crashing. So we teach you to be familiar with that near the rocks. It's kind of eerie, but we do that. We do that all while trying to promote an atmosphere of team, family, and tradition as the Belmar Guard. I'm proud to have been hired and trained by Howard Rowland, who was a legendary lifeguard at the Jersey Shore. For those of you that remember Howard Rowland, he was both a grizzly bear and a teddy bear in one. And I try every day to keep his legacy alive. The Beach Patrol is subject to 2 surprise inspections per season from the Monmouth County Health Department. They inspect certifications, radios, first aid kits, and all equipment. If you pass, which you hope you do, you get one of these that says satisfactory, and that's what you want to do, because believe it or not, the Monmouth County Health Department has the ability to close the beach, so we get that. They come and check us all the time. I also have to annually submit a comprehensive water rescue plan and aquatics plan to the USLA for certifications. It's quite lengthy. It's very detailed about Belmar, and then you hope that you get one of them, which allows our beach to stay open, which we got. We also are inspected by POSHA, Public Employee Safety Health Act, and they are ensuring employee safety, lighting protocols. We also have to satisfy the requirements of the JIF for their recommendations and safeties as well. Personally, there was a bill in the legislature to recognize open water lifeguards as first responders, which is very important for us. As lifeguards, our whole focus is on prevention, keeping patrons out of harm's way, scanning the water intently, watching hundreds of bathers in front of you, diving under rolling waves and making sure they pop up after each one. Assisting bathers attempting to get out of the wash so they don't get knocked down by the waves. Trying to avoid rescues before they happen and making sure that everyone goes in the water, comes out. Lifeguards are trained to see dangerous water conditions that the average person wouldn't know about. They are taught to never become complacent when the water is calm, because you never know when someone can have some type of medical emergency in the water. They can stand there, they get a heart attack or anything, and then they become incapacitated and need help. Every blow of the whistle, every time a lifeguard is to jump off the stand, to run to the pier, the pipe, the pilings, and the jetty, to move into safer ground and answering patrons' questions about water conditions is what we call a preventative action. I often refer to our beachfront as being a city within a city because of the huge crowds we get. Whenever something happens on the beach, most of the patrons run to the lifeguard stand because they know where to find us. We are the first responders. Lifeguards need to be prepared for anything, like my father's having a heart attack, my baby's choking on a pretzel, I stepped on a shell, my 8-year-old son is buried in an 8-foot hole, I can't find my child. The people next to me could have a large umbrella or tent that blocks my view. People are smoking or drinking. Their radio is too loud. Their kids kick sand on my blanket. Or someone is acting in a disorderly manner. The list is endless. We have a tremendous working relationship with the Belmar Police Department and the EMS. And if we can't handle an incident, we notify them immediately so we can get back to watching the water. We also have trained with the Belmar Fire Department, and you say, why would lifeguards and water rescue train with the fire department? So I'll give you one example. If there is a boat fire in the marina at the docks, and the fire department is there, it could be any time of the year, and one of the firemen fall in the water, we're there to assist getting them out. That's just one example of why we train with all the emergency services in town. To put everything into perspective, we write up daily report cards that what transpires every day and tabulate them for statistical purposes. Last summer, we performed 692 documented rescues. So that's a lot of rescues, but I can tell you that there's more, because when we try to get people's information, some of them don't want to come and give us their information, some of them disappear, or we're gathering our equipment up, something else happens, we have to run in again. So it's actually more than that, but that's 692 documented rescues. We reunited 186 lost children with their lost parents. We administered first aid to 156 patrons, not including the 1,000 Band-Aids that we give out, and calculated 22,483 preventative actions. So as you can see, Belmar is a very busy beach, and our lifeguards work hard every day. So I just want you to know a little bit about what goes on behind the scenes, because sometimes when you come to the beach, you don't pick up on any of that. I just want you to know how hard that the lifeguards work every single day. And with that, I want to introduce Ingrid. Ingrid's going to talk about some of the rules and regulations of the beach and her first year experience as a lifeguard.
Hey, Ingrid. Hi everyone, my name is Ingrid. I'm a Belmar lifeguard, and I'm here to talk about my first year experience. So I've been in Belmar ever since I was 10, and ever since then I've been a part of the junior guard program. First as a camper, then a counselor, I've always looked up to the Belmar lifeguards. Getting the opportunity to become a lifeguard last year was very meaningful to me. I definitely did not realize how much preparation and discipline it takes to become a Belmar lifeguard. This training pushed me physically and mentally every day, but every part of the training prepared all of us for real situations that we later on would face on the beach. Last summer was a very busy summer in Belmar, as you all know. I had around 40 saves myself, and in every situation I encountered, I felt prepared and ready to act quickly and confidently thanks to Harry, Dave, Steve, and Corinne that all taught us everything we needed to know. I want to thank them all for the time and dedication they put into this amazing program that Belmar has. I also want to say thank you to my captain, Brian, for building my confidence on stand. Brian would always point out a patriot, create a scenario, and ask how I would respond. This and many other efforts he made prepared me for real-life scenarios and situations throughout the summer. I believe that the duties and responsibilities of being a lifeguard are truly overlooked. Personally, for me, when I was younger and enjoying the beach with my family, I didn't appreciate and recognize how much lifeguards do to keep us safe. There is so much that goes on at the beach that is unnoticed. Every preventative action we make has a purpose to keep everyone safe. Every day at the beach is challenging, but this job really is so rewarding. I have so much respect for all lifeguards, and I am proud to call myself a Belmar lifeguard. And then here are another couple few things. So I'm sure you all have seen the flags on the beach, but just to remind everyone, green flag means it's safe to swim between the flags, but you should always still just swim with caution. A yellow flag means you can go waist deep in the ocean, but always stand from the lifeguard stands. And red flag just means no swimming. So in Belmar, we have specific designated zones across the beach. So boogie boarding is 7th, 14th, and 20th Avenue. Surfing is 17th and 18th Avenue. And jetties, just the overall rule is to never go on them unless you have a fishing pole and are experienced. And now back to Harry.
Okay. Thank you. Now I'd like to touch on water safety, which I know primarily what we're here to talk about. So the number one rule for water safety is never swim when the lifeguards are off duty. We can say it till we're blue in the face, but we know people just don't listen. So what can we do? Number one, education. I would love to see schools have a block of water safety instruction, possibly during health class, to give them an introduction to water safety. Two, teach your children to swim at an early age. It could be the best investment you've ever made. There are many pools in the area that teach swimming. The Neptune Aquatic Club, the Atlantic Club, the Rock. I personally sent my kids to the Silton Swim School in Wall Township, and I'm very happy that I did. The Belmar Beach Patrol gives water safety talks to students at Belmar Elementary School, St. Rose, West Belmar, and many other schools in the area every spring. 3, sign your children up for the junior guard program. Even if your child does not aspire to be a lifeguard, this is an excellent program to familiarize your child with the ocean, physical fitness, and all experiences that go along with the beach atmosphere. They meet new friends, and it gets them away from video games, and I highly recommend it. Swimming in the ocean is so unpredictable. You're dealing with waves, wind, tides, sandbars, and of course, rip currents. In the mid-90s, Belmar underwent a huge beach replenishment project. And one of the things they did was notch our jetties to allow a north-south flow of water to try and prevent beach erosion. In my opinion, it has substantially increased the amount of rip currents and moving sandbars that Belmar experiences on a daily basis. Sandbars offer a false sense of security because some days you can walk 50, 75, 100 yards out and only be up to your waist. Then the next step you take, you walk off the ledge and now you're at the mercy of the current. If you're a non-swimmer, this could be trouble. So what is a rip current? Simply put, it's an outward flow of water from shore to sea. The bigger the waves, the more powerful the ocean can be. So what comes in has to go out. So if there's smaller waves, it'll be a smaller push out. The bigger waves are going to make a bigger pull. Rip currents can pop up anywhere. The lifeguards know where they are and do their best to keep you away from them. If you do get caught in a rip current, what happens? Well, you start to swim to shore. You see you're getting pulled backwards. So then you start to fatigue, and then you panic, and then you're in trouble. The rule of thumb is to swim parallel to the shore, which would be north to south here in Belmar. You want to try to swim out of the rip current. Sit north to south. Signal and wave your arms that you need assistance. Call out for help. Most importantly is try not to panic, tread water, and keep your head afloat. Usually the current will dissipate within 100 yards, so almost by the time you get to the end of the jetty, it will dissipate. I always say, when the water is rough and the lifeguards are off duty, surfers are your best friend. And we can't tell you how many times we do get calls after hours, and we're responding from our home, and there's one of the victims, out there floating on surfboard. A surfer came over and got him, and then we help assist get them in. But the surfers are your best friend in the water when the lifeguards aren't there. In 1996, 30 years ago, I started the After Hours Water Rescue Team. I called up friends that were lifeguards, surfers, and good watermen. The reason behind this was because being a police officer and chief lifeguard, I knew that when the lifeguards went off duty and someone saw a person in trouble, they would call 911. The police would respond, and every police officer's ability in the water varied greatly. Oftentimes, good Samaritans would attempt to help, often finding themselves in trouble too. The point of the water rescue team was to let the officer or the good Samaritan know that if he or she entered the water, backup was on the way to assist and bring the victim back to the shore. Since then, the water rescue team has evolved to a year-round first responding team with over 30 members. They were instrumental part in rescuing stranded residents from their homes during Superstorm Sandy. We respond to all water-related emergencies throughout the year, day or night. In 2025, we responded to 24 calls and rescued 49 victims. So obviously, a lot of our calls are multiple victims. Belmar takes water rescue very seriously. The lifeguards and the after-hours water rescue team do everything we can to keep our residents and visitors safe. So please, don't swim alone. Don't swim at night. Don't swim impaired. Watch your children. Don't run and dive in the water as you could be diving into shallow water and sustain a spinal injury. This happened years ago on 10th Avenue, and unfortunately the person succumbed to his injuries. If you have a pool and have young children or have friends that have young children, I recommend that you have a flotation device close by and a motion pool alarm that sounds if someone is near or in the water. People drown in pools every day, and I've never seen a rip current in a pool. Remember, we want everyone that goes in the water to come out safely. Be smart, use common sense. If the water looks rough, it probably is. Listen to the lifeguards, and please don't go in when they're not there. Thank you.
Good job, Ingrid.
Thank you.
Good job, thanks, Howard.
Thank you. Hey.
Thank you, Harry, for that excellent presentation.
Thank you
And
for
I'd like
having
to
us.
thank all
We appreciate that.
the lifeguards who, put their life on the line every day. We go to the beach and try to have some fun. So keep up the good work. get to the presentation or the workshop discussion on the Lake Como outfall, I'd like to review something with the council that I know they received from an employee concerning this employee that is making $100 an hour. And I'd like to give the council the story on this, the backstory, and how this came about to be. For those of you who may not realize this, is our HR manager resigned in December of last year. And at that time, I had asked Mr. Kane to do a posting for a new HR manager, because it was always my impression, and through experience, I was an HR manager myself for some time, that the borough needed an HR manager. When I took office, the personnel HR area was totally, I wouldn't say devastated, but not working the way it was supposed to work. We had people on provisional status for 2 years when they should have only been on for 6 months. We had people who owed the borough money because of for medical payments. There were a number of things that were just not being taken care of. So at that point, we were able to recruit an HR manager who was with us for, what was it, 2 years? Yeah, 2 years. And pretty much we got everything in order. So she left, and I was going to hire someone, and at that point, I realized I was not going to run for mayor again. So even though I had resumes in hand of some very good qualified people, I talked with Kevin and I said, I don't really think it would be ethical or in good conscience I could interview people for a job and have them start, and then ultimately, you know, have them in a position where they might lose their job once a new mayor comes in. Because we do know the reality is that most of the time when an administration changes, the administration has the right to put in appointees of their own. So I said to Kevin at that point, I don't think we really should move forward with this. I don't want to put anyone in that position. So we didn't. And Kevin was okay with that. He said he would pick up some of that responsibility. As we got into the year, I became a little concerned though about the preparation for the hiring of our beach staff, because we do hire like 400 individuals to serve, you know, on the beach, whether they're ticket sellers, gatekeepers, you know, the lifeguards, and whatever. So I thought it would have been a good idea to have someone on board, just temporarily for, you know, April, May, to get some backup for the person who's doing our payroll. We reached out to a consultant firm that does these kinds of placements, and we found out that it's really hard to get someone to work for just 2 months. They're usually placing people for 6 months or longer. But we did receive the name of someone who they said might be interested in doing a short-term stint. So we interviewed that person, and it worked out that, you know, she was available for a short time. And to just take a side note on that, during that point, I forget if it was February, we were looking at changing the payment of salary payments, right, from bi-weekly to monthly. When was that? When did we start? March. Yeah, just so you know, every employee, I don't say everyone, but in Belmar, everybody gets paid bi-weekly, which is usually the standard practice in government. But every so many years, was it like every 5 years, the calendar works in such a way that instead of having 26 pays during the year, there are 27 pays. And it requires an adjustment to a few pays to try to, I mean, you can't get paid more than your salary is for the year. So the pays have to be adjusted so that, you know, you're getting the same amount of money. And you can explain it a little better than I can.
It's the same annual amount. Instead of being divided by 26 pays, it's divided by 27 pays. So at the end of the year, it's the same total.
Right.
and that's
But that caused some kind of an issue
a
with,
lot of controversy.
with some people because they just couldn't see it, okay? On the other hand, a lot of counties and municipalities are moving to a 2-pay per month system, right? Which is something that we thought would be good for Belmar, because then we would avoid this situation in the future of every so many years having to do this 27th pay. And it just so happened that the person we interviewed had hands-on experience in doing this. So we explored, we said that would be fine, that would be great. Perhaps we can get Belmar on the 2-pay per month system, and that would, straighten things out for the future. Unfortunately, I think there was an issue with timing. Right? We were going to try to do it in June and July, and it just wouldn't work out. And I think you told me it's better to do it at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, so what happened, the experience with Melinda, with Prime Point and doing this transition, she had direct access to the people at Prime Point. We were looking at, there's 3 pays in July. So we figured August would be a great time to try to implement this new change. However, trying to do it mid-year created all kinds of ramifications. So it was suggested and then further documented that it would be better to make this transition in the new calendar year, which we found out after we did all this research.
Okay, so to back up a few steps though, so we brought her on board as, I would say, an advisor or consultant at a rate of $100 an hour. But the issue is that to bring someone as a consultant, you have to have a vendor ID, they have to go through all kinds of stuff. And this was going to be a very, very short-term thing. She was only available probably mostly for the month of May. I think that was and it was something that, we just needed her advice and direction on to get us to this point. But as they looked at it, they said, no, this is not going to work. In the meantime, we were starting to look at the water utility and the issue with the decrease in revenue, which has disturbed me greatly, because we increased the fines last year. We increased the rates last year, and in spite of increasing the rates, the revenue went down. And I don't understand why that happened, and I'm going to find out why that happened. And we enlisted the assistance of Melinda to do that, because it should not have happened. The gentleman who was at the last meeting brought up a good point. Apparently we have meters that need to be fixed, and people are only getting basically, the base level bill of $88 per month, the estimates, and that shouldn't be. Mr. Kane and I had conversations with staff about this the last year or two, and there's no way that water utility revenue should be going down. People are not using less water, right? So it should be at least the same. So we've enlisted her to do an analysis to do that. So yes, if you look at the payroll, her name comes up, the rate is $100 an hour. There is no rate of $100 an hour when you look at the pay scale, but in my view, it was necessary to do that for the short term. Let me just back up a little bit. People are concerned about the amount of money that's being spent. Yes, it is $100 an hour, but with the absence of our HR manager, we basically are saving the borough in 4 months. We probably saved the borough $40,000 in salaries. So this salary that we're paying her at that rate is going to be just a drop in the bucket, and it's really for a very specific reason, and it's going to be very short term. By the time I think by the end of the month, it's going to be done, it's going to be finished. So it's kind of like a fall between the cracks kind of thing. There's no mechanism to hire someone for a very short term for a special project or something, and get them paid without them being a consultant and have a vendor ID and all this stuff. So I took the position, and I think I'm correct, is that, and her title is the aide to the mayor, correct? I have the authority to hire someone as my aide, and that's why we use her title. I'm hiring her as my aide, and I think the salary range for my aide is anywhere from, I don't know, $25,000 to $60,000, and I felt justified in that, accepting her rate, because it was nowhere going to be, it wasn't even going to be the minimum of $25,000. So that's why it's on the schedule. That's why it looks like $100 an hour. But this is not a regular part-time employee. It's just a mechanism to get this individual paid as a consultant without being technically, in the scheme of things, a consultant. So that's the story behind it. Like I said, it's going to be for a very limited time, but I think it's necessary. And as I said, I'm responsible for what goes on, and I think we really needed to have somebody come in, obviously, initially, to look at to help out in HR if we needed backup for the onboarding of people, and then to do the conversion from the 26 pays to the 24 pays, and now for the analysis of the water department. So it's a short period of time, and that is really the essence behind the rate. It's not being hidden. It's on the payroll. It's there, but it's not like somebody's working 20 hours a week getting $100 an hour. Okay, so that's the explanation for that.
Thank you for that. I have a question.
Find it out.
Never, actually.
No,
I don't love that.
We'll defer to each other.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Councilman.
You're welcome.
Can you tell me, Mayor, how much has been budgeted for this employee? And you had mentioned the water meters, and you mentioned onboarding the summer employees. Are there any more tasks you can name that she will be doing?
The budget is coming out of the personnel budget, but there is still money budgeted for a human resource manager.
I was
So that's
asking
where
if
it's coming from.
you knew approximately how much you were anticipating on spending on the employee.
I don't know.
No, I don't know. We can estimate. I have no idea at this point.
You said another
Maybe like $4,000 or $5,000 total.
$4,000 or $5,000 total.
I just want to publicly state that we are constantly over budget, raising taxes and raising utility. Every penny is a drop in the bucket. There is no drop in the bucket when it comes to spending our taxpayers' money. We have not had an HR manager for the last 25 years. It has been handled by payroll, and it has been handled by the BA. So that's the way it's been. I wasn't here when you came in. I don't know if it was a disaster or what you found. When our HR manager left, it didn't seem to be a need to be filled. And even though you're calling her the aide to your mayor, that's a salaried position. She's not salaried, she is part-time. Ordinance 2025-01 has been violated. Schedule D, the max amount for a part-time employee is $35 an hour. It's your schedule, you amended it in 2025. And everyone here knows that. So whether you call her an aide to the mayor, or payroll assistant manager, or special projects, as it was written in the papers, it's unacceptable. We weren't brought in. It should have been brought to the council. Not one person up here knew this person was being hired or their rate, except for the mayor and the business administrator. So that's not transparent. You haven't been transparent to us. You haven't been transparent to the public, and you haven't been transparent to your own employees who are even in contract negotiations. So I find this, not appropriate.
I'd also like to make a point.
Can I just say, I'm not going to comment on everything you said, but I do think it's a very short-sighted view to say that you don't need an HR manager. I mean, just because things have been done for the last 25 years doesn't mean that that's the way it should be done in the future. There are very, very many things that an HR manager does that haven't been done and weren't being done in terms of maintaining, compliance with various, employment laws, EEOC, ADA, all kinds of other laws that, you know, in this building are posted. And for 25 years, they were just posted on the wall and nobody knew anything about them, right? Training. There are many things they should be assisting in disciplinary action. Bringing charges against employees. I mean, those are the duties of the HR manager. It is very narrow-minded to think that all an HR manager does is hire people. Right? That is not, that's the easy part of the job. That's just the payroll clerk part of the job. But the human resource manager has a very, very important role in running the borough. And I think it's a very short-sighted and just not beneficial for the borough to not have one moving forward in the future, right?
I think my concern here would be that if there hadn't been an Oprah request made and then been made public, I don't think we'd be having this discussion today. I think it just would have been left to happen. Just speaking to Councilman de Blasio's concerns about transparency, that's the only reason we're talking about this today is because it came up as part of an OSHA request and was made public.
Did you receive an Oprah request? A copy of that request?
No, I did not.
Okay, because I have a copy of an Oprah request that was actually sent to you, right, by an employee. All right, so now you want to change your answer. Did you receive a copy of that Oprah request?
I misunderstood your question.
Was that?
I misunderstood your question. I apologize.
Do you understand it now?
I did.
So you did receive something.
Yes, I did.
Okay. What they're referring to is an employee sent a memo regarding this to all of the council members except myself. Okay, and only one council member had the decency to make me aware of it, and that was Councilwoman Donovan. Okay, she asked me what it was about, and I told her. Okay, why I didn't get calls from the other, I can only assume, but I think it was to put on a presentation here tonight so that they could, make me look bad. But it was not.
We didn't know you didn't get it, so I didn't know you didn't get it. I thought you were copied.
If you looked at who it was sent to, you didn't see my name on it. I have it right here.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying I didn't pay attention to that.
All right, you didn't pay attention to it, but I can read it if you'd like me to.
No,
I'm not going to read it, but I'm going to tell people that a warning. Okay, when you send something to a council person or to me or to Mr. Kane or to anyone in the borough, that email becomes accessible to the public. Okay, that email can be opened, basically. So be very careful when you send something in, because this Oprah request 26-368 is going to appear on the list of Oprah requests, and anybody can go in there and look at it. I mean, we have a tremendous database of reports and of Oprah requests that I think most towns should have. So I'm not going to read it. If you want to see it, you can look at it yourself. I mean, you can go into Oprah and Oprah by people's names. You can say, I want to see all the Oprah requests that Jerry Bocafusco made. That's going to be like a couple of pages, right, April? You can say, I want to see all Oprah requests that went to Mr. Maroney, right? So I'm just telling you, be very careful when you're sending something in, because it can be Oprah, and it's not confidential, all right?
I'd just like to say that I find it remarkable that the mayor chose to say that we didn't contact him when we received this, when there's been multiple conversations amongst here at the meetings about us being left out and a lack of transparency, but he expects it from us. So if let's get on a level playing field, let's all be transparent with each other, and then maybe we can move forward. April.
I agree with you 100%, Mr. Maroney. We should all be transparent with each other.
Since we're in workshop, April, I'd like to read and introduce a resolution that I wrote and had it adopted and put on the resolution.
This is not just a workshop. Council, I don't think this is.
Wait, yeah. Recently, we've had some issues, and when everything's moving smoothly, you don't really need to follow or quote rules. However, we do have rules, and we have an agenda rule, and the resolution that anybody's going to read or want to introduce has to be given to April 2 days before the meeting. So today's Tuesday, so in the future, it's Friday. Get these resolutions over, we'll get them on the agenda. But that's the way we have to operate at this point in time, because otherwise we'll have, we can't really have a meeting by ambush. Everybody should know, we talk about transparency. Let's be transparent. You have a resolution, give it to April. People have 2 days to look at it at least. So, that's my position on adding anything to the agenda at this point in time. We have an agenda that's fixed. Can be changed by the mayor when an emergency arises. There's no emergency here that I know. So that's my position on it.
Can we move on to the Lake Como outfall pipe?
Will we have time after the Lake Como outfall, because I have a lot of questions about the bond ordinances and things like that.
We should leave the questions for the ordinances when the ordinances come up for vote. Okay? That's the cleaner way to do that. Okay, the Lake Como outfall pipe. This came up when we were at our agenda meeting, and again, Mr. Kane got to fill me in on the detail. Basically, we're replacing it, and it's going to cost us another, $63,000, right?
What's the exact, you have the exact number, Bill?
Not off the top of my head, but it is in the $60,000 range.
Yeah, the valve itself was 40-some thousand, correct? Lorraine, I think?
I believe the valve itself was 29 or 30, but with installation and everything, it was,
Yeah, the cost of the flopper valve itself was somewhere in the range of $30,000. The labor to install and the associated improvements that are necessary for it to function properly brought the total cost up to $61,070.
The reason why I added this to the agenda, as we were talking about it, I was like, why are we always replacing the outfall? Because we have a very small portion of Lake Como, and most of the lake is in Spring Lake and Lake Como. And it's like, well, when do they get to chip in for the outfall pipe? So it's something I wanted to bring before the council, because I think we've replaced it now, I don't know how many times, Billy, how many times have we replaced it? A number of times.
This will be the third time.
So I think the council, as a council, we need to address this issue with Spring Lake and Lake Como and say, guys, it's time to chip in, because we only have a little bit of a lake there, and I know in the past it was decided. I mean, it's actually, I guess, on our section of the thing, but but we're responsible for that while they have the entire lake. I think it should be something that should be at least shared. So, I mean, I bring that to the council for future discussion, but I think we need to reach out to both of those municipalities and say, hey guys, what's fair is fair, let's work something out.
They've got grants for that lake. They did the walkway around it. They did some dredging around it. So is there a way we can get a grant? I mean, they're getting the benefit of grants for the lake, and they're doing work around their lake. Obviously, this valve is on our property and our portion of the lake, so that's a tough, when they're doing other things around the lake, they're not asking us to mow their grass. But, it's something to bring up, but I would say, my real question was, is there a grant or something we can get from the DEP for a pipe that leads into the ocean?
We could, and it would be a good thing if we all, came together, all three municipalities, and applied for that grant. Because, you know, again, I know the history of it, but I mean, I think they're getting the benefit of what we're doing at our cost. And I think it's time that we should just address that with them.
Mayor, have they been made aware that we've replaced this now 3 times? I mean, I really think they should be made aware of that, if they don't already know. And
sure
I
they
didn't
know.
think they should have some part of the bill.
They know, and I've had conversations with both of those towns about it. My question though, can you be, is the valve replaced right now, or is it being replaced?
I actually don't want to speak out of term, but I got somewhat of an update this morning, and although it's not in writing, but they're expecting the valve to be ready to ship at the end of May. So that's not a rock solid date, but that's what they're leaning towards.
If I recall correctly from the last time we talked about this, originally they were talking about March, so this is a bit of a delay.
Yes.
I have some email addresses from the residents who came, and I can notify them unless they've been notified already about this update.
No, this was just this morning.
Thank you for letting us know promptly.
Not to be, you know, flippant about it, but, you know, I would be willing, the council would be willing, I would even be willing to give them the Belmar part of the lake and let them, you know, here you go. Take the Belmar, the water part. We'll just, you know, draw the property line up to the shore, and you can have the entire lake, and then you can be responsible for the valve. Probably not possible, but again, you know, it is very frustrating to have to, you know, pay that cost every so many years.
Yeah, I think the one problem with that would be is that our residents would still suffer from the flooding down there that happens, and we don't want to be reliant on them to alleviate our flood problems.
I mean, the good news is that my experience working with the other towns is that they are very interested and willing to work with us, and there's a lot of things we have in common. So there's no reason we can't talk to them about going in for grants that would include purchasing another valve. We've talked before about how it would be a good idea to have a valve here to replace it, since we don't know reliably how long one will last. So that's certainly something we can look into. I don't think we should be handing off part of our town though to accomplish that.
I just said that in a flippant point of way. I wasn't serious about that.
Conversations need to be had. It should not in any way delay the installation of this valve. As soon as we get it, we have to do that, and then, you know, work it out for sure. Have a conversation. Let's get them in the room. Let's talk about, you know, who can be responsible for the next one. Maybe they can purchase the backup valve since it breaks all the time. I believe, you know, when we were discussing it, I don't think I was on council, it was last year, we were talking about it, and Billy, you explained how manually it's opened and closed right now in the event of storms to let water out. It's dangerous for our DPW at the moment, and that needs to be fixed first and foremost to make sure they stay safe.
Just to confirm, we are not delaying the installation of the valve.
Thank you.
It will be installed as soon as it gets here. Good. Anything else? Okay, let's move on to petitions.
Mayor, I did not receive any petitions.
Approval of minutes.
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the May 28th meeting? Or April 28th meeting?
Motion.
Second.
Councilman Donovan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinney?
Yes.
Councilman de Blasio?
Yes.
Councilman Barone?
Yes.
Mayor Bonifesco?
Yes. Reports of council. Councilwoman Donovan.
Thank you, Mayor. First, actually, I'd like to start with the Tourism Commission. We, at the last meeting, discussed feedback on that film ready ordinance that we all discussed at the last meeting. So I wanted to bring you up to date because we did come to one very good conclusion, actually, which is our recommendation is that any ordinance we did pass should have a clause in it that would require anyone filming in Belmar to use Belmar vendors. So I wanted to update you on that. We haven't scheduled a full workshop on an update on that ordinance, but I wanted to flag that for everyone. And the next tourism meeting will be June 10th. I know Council President does the schools and recreation, but I'm going to steal a little thunder here. The PTO had a fashion show, a Kentucky Derby themed fashion show this past weekend, which was a wonderful way to raise money while looking absolutely ridiculous. I had one kid who walked the runway, one who volunteered, and one who managed to find all the extra available sugar in the room. It was fun for at least two of us. I also just want to say thank you to Tri-Shore. We had opening day. Tri-Shore is our Little League. Belmar sends along with Lake Como, Avon, Spring Lake, Seagirt, and Spring Lake Heights. Porch Fest was also this weekend. Thank you to Johnny Comfort in particular for all the work he did on that. It was a wonderful event. I hope everyone came out. Finally, Harbor Commission, we have a plan in place to replace the T-head of H-dock, new electric on C-dock, and potentially removing I-dock and additional pilings. So work is continuing at the marina. This is really important work, especially with the season coming up. The next meeting will be held outdoors, reminder, at the marina on May 19th. And finally, the Environmental Commission, this Thursday at 6:30 in the library. Please come by if you're interested. We will present the Community Energy Plan. To remind you, this is a grant-funded initiative to examine the borough's energy use and recommend ways to be more efficient. So please come by. We will want public input in your opinion matters here. Thank you.
Thank you. Council President Kinney.
Thank you, Mayor. I was a host for Porch Fest, and it was great. My son's band played. They were so much fun. I think they were too loud. No kids. They loved it. That was great. Seafood Festival this weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday hours are 4 to 8. Saturday is 11 to 8. Sunday is 11 to 6. It's supposed to be beautiful weather. So come out, check out the food vendors, all the vendors, and the music. Graduation banners are going to be up along Main Street. We need every senior, high school seniors graduation pictures, please, by May 21st. The link to upload your photo is on belmar.com, so please do that. I have sent out a bunch of texts. I will be resending emails and more texts. Hopefully we get everybody's pictures up on Main Street. The deadline, again, is May 21st. That is next Thursday. Recreation, the Friday concert series will start next Friday, May 22nd, and go every Friday for the summer. The Luckinbill Band will be playing at Taylor Pavilion every Monday, 7 p.m., starting July 6th, and ending the week of August 31st. Recreation also wants us to know that there's going to be a marine science camp coming to Belmar. That's going to be 6 sessions from June 22nd through August 21st, ages 5 through 14. They're going to be around McCleary Park learning all about marine science. The cost is $315 for the week, but if you show proof of residence, you get a $40 discount. So that sounds like really fun, maybe something different for the kids. The skate park, we will be having a tent also at the Seafood Festival. Come by, buy a t-shirt, learn a little bit more about the updates with the skate park. We're hoping to kind of change up our little plan moving forward with the skate park to phase it out as opposed to one big park, and there's ideas and plans moving forward with that. Belmar Elementary, their spring concert and art show is next Thursday, May 21st. Come out, I think that's 6 p.m. in the auditorium.
In there.
And the Shade Tree Commission is also going to have their arborist, Bill Brash, speak at the next Shade Tree Commission, which is also going to be a joint meeting with the Environmental Commission, also at the library, and that is going to be on June 11th at 6:30. And there's going to be a lot of information, joint information there. And I believe that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman de Blasio.
Okay, Harbor Commission, I just wanted to tag on the May 19th meeting, which is going to walk outside. Councilwoman Donovan, we are meeting here first to then adjourn to go outside. I believe that's the format we had to do.
That sounds right.
Yeah, it was 6 p.m. 6, got that one right. I always get confused with the times on this. Planning Board is next. So coming to the Harbor Commission, we start here. We walk to the marina at 6 p.m. Tuesday the 19th. Planning Board is May 18th, 7 p.m. No applications in front of us this month that I've seen yet. We are going to be reviewing again our second round of the awning ordinances. And then I just wanted to piggyback the Seafood Festival. Please come out. We unfortunately lost one of our biggest local restaurants, is Klein's. If you're not gonna be at the Seafood Festival, get down to Klein's, go enjoy their riverfront, go enjoy their food. It's a shame that we lost them this year, and I hope we can get them back for next year with a little more communication and coordination for Seafood Festival. So please support all of our local restaurants at Seafood Festival.
Councilman Barone?
I've been working with Barry Trogu for the ADA. Apparently there used to be a kind of anti-bullying and awareness program that they used to do, but it fell off recently. At the ADA meeting that we had last month, there was quite a bit of interest in restarting that. It looks like it's going to be July 14th at this point. I'm sure that the incredible committee that has so many different resources for that. I was very impressed when I met with them. Can get that together in time, so look for that around July 14th.
Okay, I have nothing, so let's move on to public session on the resolutions.
Mayor, can I just, my mic's not working. So when I was speaking before, I used the term meeting by ambush, and I want to apologize to Mr. Councilman de Blasio. It might have been a little rough. The attorneys in the room know what I'm talking about. We have a term in the law that's trial by ambush. That's why we have discovery. So it dawned on me that people may not know that reference. So that's what it is. So that's all I meant by it.
I've been called worse.
Okay, if anyone from the public has a comment or question about a resolution on the agenda, please step forward, state your name and address. Alright, seeing none, can I have a motion to close the public session?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion to approve the resolutions as listed on the consent agenda?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Councilwoman Donovan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinney?
Yes.
Councilman de Blasio?
Yes.
Councilman Maroney?
Yes.
Mayor Buckfusco?
Yes.
Next we have the 2026 municipal budget amendment hearing. Are you gonna?
I just want to make a statement. At the last meeting, because the borough was required by the state to have state review of our budget, they required that we amend the budget. The budget was amended by resolution of council at the last meeting. This is a public hearing to allow the public to speak to that agenda and the amendments that were made at the last meeting. Thank you.
May I ask one quick question? What is the percentage increase from last year
Percentage increase is
of the budget?
the budget as a total or the tax rate?
Municipal
The tax
section.
rate was about 9.7%.
I'm sorry?
9.7%.
Thank you.
We're looking for comments?
Yes, we can open it up to the public hearing. Please remember to state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Ken Pringle, live at 203 First Ave. I was just following the money here, and was it the state that required you to reduce the surplus? Was it the state that required you to reduce your surplus that you were anticipating in the budget I'm talking about for the beach utility?
No,
I'm sorry, for the main budget, the current fund budget.
the current fund budget, it was a function of where we needed to move the appropriations, and as a result, the use of surplus was diminished slightly.
Okay, so, and I gather that the issue on appropriations related to the funds that you had appropriated inside the cap for the police retirement, right, person, PFRS as well?
Yes, initially I had included them as an outside the cap appropriation because in 2025 we were allowed to anticipate or expend a portion of that outside the cap.
Because the increase was over,
different.
right, the increase was over 4% last year, but not this year, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
This year, although it's outside the cap, the levy cap, it's inside the appropriations cap. and I missed that in the initial guidance, so that was the reason we had to move it inside the cap, which required us to reduce other appropriations to account for that.
Right, in addition to reducing appropriations inside the cap to make room for that, you also I guess moved, extended appropriations thanks to beach utility. Beach utilities appropriations went up by $100,000. Oh, actually, you had to anticipate grant revenue, right? That was the other one?
We also had to anticipate grant revenue in the current fund. The beach fund did increase by $100,000, and that was primarily because we received a huge first quarter unemployment liability. We are self-insured for unemployment insurance, and our first quarter bill was over $40,000. So we need to, and the majority of the unemployment claims that we're paying for are seasonal employees who
Right.
are beach employees, basically.
So they get hired.
So that's why it's coming, we're appropriating it out of the beach.
They accept a summer job, and then the summer's over, they put in for unemployment.
Well, the state and the federal government changed the rules. They now allow seasonal lifeguards to apply for unemployment if they're not working at another full-time job in the winter. So we have seasonal employees who work the season for us. Then at the end of the season, as they are allowed to do, they apply for unemployment, and that turns into a liability for the borough.
Okay. So that's a pretty consistent amount, correct?
Could you just say that?
Sorry, that's a pretty consistent
Yes.
phenomenon? Because you only had budgeted for that line item in the beach utility budget, both this year and last year. Actually, last year you had budgeted $25,000. And I'm talking about the statutory obligation for the unemployment compensation.
We had funds in reserve.
Okay. So, and you did not.
Because we expended those funds in reserve, and I was required to make an accommodation for what I believe to be our increased liability for this year.
Okay. So what struck me when I was looking at the budget and following the money and the flow was that you don't itemize appropriations in the beach utility budget.
We're not required to.
Is that right?
No, we're not required to itemize appropriations in the utilities in the budget document.
Well, let me tell you something about why the beach utility is not like the water sewer utility or the parking utility. The beach utility was set up pursuant to a court decision. The Belmar lost. And it lost it because the public trust doctrine requires that we maintain the funds in a beach utility so they can be monitored. So people know whether or not money's being spent only for the use of beachgoers. And you did an itemized budget in 2022 and you were the chief financial officer then too, right?
I was.
Why suddenly in 2023 did you stop?
If there is a court order that specifies that the appropriations have to be specified in the beach utility, I follow the state budget law.
Well, let me tell you a different way about it. We won a decision against Belmar a few years back that said that if you fail to comply with the beach fee law, in other words, you spend your money in a way that's inconsistent with what the beach fee statute states, you're subject to a suit for violation of the civil rights of beachgoers. We won legal fees for doing that. You only can prove that case or bring that case if you can see the records. And it's not like you don't keep the budget, you do, right? You have somewhere, you have line items for each of these same issues that you had in 2022, do you not?
That's correct.
And you know how I know? It's because at the end of the year, when there's money excess in certain accounts, you do transfers, correct?
That's correct.
So you do a transfer that lists the accounts that you take money from and move money to in the beach utility. So what are you accomplishing? You're saying you don't have to by law. I don't think that's true. But you're saying you don't have to. Every town around us does. I guess with the exception of one where you came from, right? Seeger?
Is there a question there?
Yeah, the question is, why would you not make
Because
the
I'm
budget
following the statute, and the statute, as far as I know, is not supplanted by a court order.
All right, so the
Now, I
statute,
may be wrong, maybe.
the statute says you can't itemize the
The statute says you don't have to specify, you specify salary and wages and other expenses.
So what do you
and
do-
then certain statutory expenses.
What do you do in the water utility? I'm asking a question, okay? I'm telling you that the borough is exposed to liability because of the way you keep the books. And you think that's funny?
No, I don't think it's funny.
Okay, so why don't you do it? What's the reason? Tell the council what the reason is not to do it. Not to do what the towns around us do. Not only does Avalon do it, Avalon specifies what we pay the gatekeepers. Well, why would you not do it?
I think, Ken, she answered that. She says that it's not required by statute, so she doesn't do
Okay,
it.
fair. I'll ask you all. Why would we not do it? It's not that it hasn't been done. She keeps the books. It's in there. Why wouldn't we adopt a beach utility budget that lists the amounts that we pay? Because it also shows you the amounts that you took in each line item in prior years. So you know whether or not you've expended all the money or not.
Essentially, though, all that information is in the bill lists. Every dollar that we spend is listing.
No one's going to go through the bill list.
But it's there, correct? Is the information,
I'm sorry.
is the information that the beach utility spends in the bill list that we have on the council every week?
So you're
Just answer my question.
No, I don't know.
Okay, but I do.
So the
Yes, the answer is.
So the answer is the public has to go through the bill list, compile them every week or 2 weeks, and make a list of it, put it in a spreadsheet.
No, I'm just saying that,
add into what
I'm not saying that. Don't put words in my
you
mouth.
actually did just
No,
say.
I'm just saying that if you want to know, that's what you can do. Should we be putting it on the list? Perhaps. But I don't want the public to think that there's no information out there.
There's
As
no
cumbersome
information out there.
as it might be to find it, but it is there. And I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with you on that.
Well, you're not agreeing with me, certainly, which means you're disagreeing with me.
All right, well, we can do this all night, so. Do you have any other points to make?
No, I'm good with that one. I guess one other one. The state of New Jersey requires, I believe, I can get you the reg for it, that we post a user-friendly version of our budget every year. But we don't have that posted. We have basically the summary portion of the user-friendly budget component that's attached to a couple of the last years, not going back to 2016 when this started. But why don't we don't do that?
We do post, we submit the user-friendly budget to the state, and it's provided to the clerk to post on the website.
It's not posted on the website. There's 20-page
I'll be happy to
tag.
fix that.
Other towns put a separate, Avon, Spring Lake, they have the budget. They also have the user-friendly budget. There are 20 tabs.
We will put that on the
Tremendous
on the
amount of
website.
information.
It sounds like we have it, it's just a matter of putting it
The
up.
budgets are there, they're just in a PDF format, that's not in Excel.
Well, it's just the 5 pages of the PDF, though, that it's the summary. It's basically, it's like the first 9 pages is from the summary portion of the user-friendly budget. It's not the bulk of the user-friendly budget. There's really valuable information in there that the public would benefit from, including.
We'll see to that that's posted.
Please.
Thank you. Any other comments on the budget?
Well,
We're in the
Okay.
public session. Did you raise your hand, Mr. Kramer?
Eugene Creamer, 4th Avenue. I guess it was at the last meeting, and a number of seniors, actually they were all seniors, I believe, that had problems with the mailing of the water and sewer bills. And I think I've figured out why they are so concerned about it, is that when you send a bill, not a tax, seniors are protected when it comes to municipal tax, property tax. In other words, we get reimbursed by the state for any increase in tax. So really, I don't care what you spend on taxes here, because my taxes are frozen. And I'm sure it was the same story with those people that appeared before the mayor and council and expressed concern about the double-digit increases in water and sewer rate. And the reason being there is a lot of these people are on fixed income. And you slap them with the bill. Now, the remedy for that actually was about 5 years ago. Governor Murphy signed what they call a rain tax for New Jersey, and more municipalities are picking up on that for the cost of our water bill, by the way, is a stormwater problem, just like it is for the Lake Como pipe. That's a stormwater problem, and the cost of keeping and maintaining that stormwater infrastructure should be a burden on the property owners or the property taxpayers. I see an immediate solution to this double-digit increase in the water and the sewer rates, not the water portion of it, but the sewer rate portion of it. Now, Oprah from the borough.
I don't want to cut you short, but I want to get to anybody else who has a question on the budget. You're talking about the water sewer rates. These are the public hearing on the amendment to the budget.
Yeah,
Okay.
this would be a budget.
Well, let me just.
This would be a rain tax would be a budget item, sir. Just like when we get our tax bills, we have municipal and school. A rain tax would be on the same bill. Also, this is the way a solution to solve the dilemma that this has. Sending a separate bill creates a dilemma for the seniors that live in town. Okay, I don't know what that number is, but and I tried New Jersey Treasury. They consider that information, much of it, I guess. I really wanted to know how many people in Belmar are recipients or participate in the Senior Freeze program. And they told me politely that they don't supply that detail level. But I can tell you, you have a number of people, a large number of people, and they vote, of seniors that are damaged by this double-digit increase. When there is an opportunity to move that sewage charge over to a property tax, or in addition to the property tax, and then they would be immune to the double-digit increases in water rates. They still pay for their water, they still pay for their sewage. Now the problem with the sewage is I contacted South Monmouth Regional Sewage Authority, and I asked them for 2025, how many gallons of wastewater have we sent there for 2025? And it was 331 million gallons, okay? And I also offered Belmar as to how many gallons of water did we meter? 183 million gallons, okay? So every gallon that we buy from the town, we pay to dispose of 1.8 gallons. The numbers just don't jive. And actually, I was surprised, that number, the last time that I had looked at it, was closer to 2. In other words, the change in the construction codes, the houses now are elevated. The cause of the excessive flow being sent to South Monmouth Regional Sewerage Authority, most of that probably is some pumps that are connected to the sewer line. And it's been a problem in town for years. But one way to attack this sort of thing, this problem itself of sending too much water to the sewage authority, is to impose a rain tax. And also, we provide funding for other stormwater-related projects. Also, a rain tax would perhaps help with the good work that the Environmental Commission has done in getting grants, because very often those grants require matching funds or matching work in order for us to accept them. I guess what I'm asking the council here to do is to take a look at this and analyze it, and this is one way to avoid dinging the seniors in town with an excessive bill. And there would be an end to this at some point. The rate tax essentially would end when our discharge or our sale of water matches our discharge to the Sewage Commission.
Okay, we will definitely take a look at that. I'll sit with our CFO and whoever else to see if that's something that we can do here in the borough.
Actually, there was a show on public television just this past week of Cranford and some other towns in Union County that are affected by the Rolling River. They've taken on imposing a water tax.
We'll look into that.
Or a rain tax. It got a bad play in New Jersey, but over 40 states have some sort of rain tax. Okay.
We need to move on. I got the point. We'll look into it and see if that's something that's feasible for Belmar. I don't know anything about it, so I can't even offer any kind of comment.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments as part of the municipal budget amendment hearing?
Can I have a motion to close the hearing?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion to adopt resolution 2026-96, a resolution authorizing adoption of the 2026 municipal budget as amended?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
This would be the point at which if we want to make comments, the council can, before we vote, if you want to. If
I'll
not,
just say
we can
that
take a vote.
I spent some time over the last 2 weeks looking at other municipalities, and I just want to state very explicitly that this, the healthcare costs and pension costs are a problem everywhere in the state. Not just in this area, not just in Monmouth County, everywhere. And I think it's going to be incumbent upon us as a council going forward to really take a careful look at what we can do with those costs, how we can encourage the state to lower them for everyone, and take a careful look at very hard decisions in the next year.
I agree, and I think, Mr. Pringle had some good points about itemizing and detailing some of these utilities, even for us to review the budgets as they go. Sometimes, we don't understand where everything is being spent, and, we're not gonna go through every payment of bills. We know where the money's going, but it's also, a way to track, is there money coming from municipal to water? Is water paying for something it shouldn't be? And those are things that, we're trying to figure out. you know, not saying it is, but we'd be able to understand it better if we had those itemized budgets and bills.
Okay, if nothing else, let's proceed with our,
Councilwoman Donovan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinney?
Yes.
Councilman de Blasio?
Yes.
Councilman Maroney?
Yes.
Mayor Bonifazio?
yes.
Next, we have first reading and introduction. This is on ordinance 2026, which has been amended based on the planning board's comments and our discussions from the last meeting. It's an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 40 Development Regulations, specifically Section 7.24 signs. Do we have a motion to offer for first reading?
Motion.
Second?
Councilwoman Donovan?
Actually, I have a question. The last time we talked, there was a woman who raised some civil liberties questions. Have those been properly addressed in this?
In my opinion, yes.
Thank you, Counselor. That was my question.
You're welcome.
Councilwoman Kinney?
I didn't vote.
Sorry, Councilman Donovan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinney?
Yes.
Councilman de Blasio?
Yes.
Councilman Maroney?
Yes.
Mayor Bonifazio?
Yes.
Next, we have first reading and introduction of ordinance 2026-9. This is a bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements and the acquisition of various capital equipment appropriating $2,448,345 and authorizing the issuance of $2,379,783 in bonds and notes to finance a portion of the cost. We have a motion to offer for first reading and introduction.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Do I have a question to go with? No.
I think we need a
We
second
should have
first.
second, I think, first.
Second.
Or,
Yeah, we need a second.
we need a second.
All right, I'll second it.
I have a,
Mayor, if I may, I'd like to just go down this list. Can we do that, please? So, first, the way I'm reading this, about half of this will be covered by grants and funding. Am I reading that correctly? Mostly for the 8th Avenue Street project?
yeah, let me,
Yes, that's correct.
okay. So,
The first thing is the $60,000 for scanning permanent files. I think that's necessary. We've run into these issues without that many times with the Silver Lake project. Can we break down the cost of these two Durangos for $227,000?
The two Durangos are $112,000. There's $112,000 for a taser bundle for the police department.
How old are the vehicles they're replacing?
I believe, I'm not sure. I don't want to, I don't want to misstate, so I'm not sure.
I don't know if the public has access to what I'm looking at right now, but, the next item is the DPW Public Works replacing windows, electrical services. That is $220,000. Turnout gear for the borough fire department is $50,000. I know how expensive that equipment is.
That's
Thank you.
turnout gear on radios.
Yes, thank you for your service, Mr. Maroon. The road improvements to 8th Avenue are part of this. That is $1.13 million, but that is the one that we have the NGDOT grant for, and that is covering that full 1.13? Yes.
The grant coming, well, that is a grant, we do expect to receive it, but it's a reimbursement grant, so we have to spend the money first. So therefore, we have to have the money in hand in order to expend it, and then we justify what we've spent. We supply all the supporting documentation to, in this case, the DOT.
You said expected to receive it, or we have received it?
No, we expect to receive it. We don't, it's a reimbursement, so we don't receive it until we expend it.
Then award.
That's the word I was looking for, so we have the award.
yes. Okay.
The next one is a recorder and computer for the court. That is estimated cost of $9,500. That seems a lot for a computer, is that as much as it is? And we pay the full cost of that, as Lake Como or any of our shared?
The contract doesn't call for them to pay for capital equipment.
Thank you. The next item is the municipal building roof for $240,000. And the 25. So, the major question is just, we have two different bond ordinances. Is there a reason why those are separate?
Yes, because one is water sewer, solely water sewer. This is general capital, what we call general capital in municipal parlance. So general capital applies to any facilities improvements or equipment purchases for equipment that has a useful life of 5 years or more. And the improvements are the same. They're expected to last for a minimum of 5 years or longer, and that determines the useful life and how we repay the ordinance. But it's general capital covers everything other than what's purchased for the utilities. So beach and water sewer would be separate. If we had equipment that we had to buy for the beach, we would have a separate bond ordinance.
Okay.
We try and fund those internally though.
And where is this First Avenue sidewalk?
Bill, do you want to take that? First Avenue sidewalk?
Yeah, so on First Avenue, between Ocean and A Street, we have a triangular park called Schroeder Park, and on the north side of First Avenue, there is no sidewalk. It forces people to walk in the street, and we've gotten quite a bit of complaints about it, so one of the improvements is to put a sidewalk there.
So just so I can be clear, the 2.379 million is going to, expected to be less by this 1.131 million after we finish and get the reimbursement from the grant, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So the total cost of the improvements less the down payment, the 5% down payment, which we're required to have on hand, that's $59,836 in total. The total of bonds and notes to be issued, if we issued all of them, is $1,136,884. That's accepting the grants that we expect to receive. So that total is $1,242,899.
That's what we need to bond.
That's what we expect to receive.
The 1,136,000 is the cost to the borough for all of these projects.
Yes.
This is appropriated in the current budget.
No, this is the capital budget.
These bonds will be how long?
Could you say that again?
The bonds will be for how long, once we?
Well, they're generally issued, if we go for a permanent financing of the bond ordinance, it would be generally through the MCIA, which is sponsored by the county. Provides us with a better return on investment, lower interest rate,
Right.
usually 20 years on the bonds.
20 years. Okay.
Do we know the interest rate, or we don't know that?
I'm sorry?
Do we know the interest rate, or we don't know that until we apply?
No, we wouldn't know that until close to the point when the bonds are issued. We still have to apply to the county through the MCIA, which they don't usually do until July or August. And this would be an issuance, bonds that would be issued sometime in December is generally what the timing is. So we wouldn't know the interest rate until sometime early November, definitively.
Is that interest rate tied to anything else like prime or anything else? Do we have any idea what it might be?
Well, the county has a AAA rated, credit rating, so the rate is tied to the amount that they're borrowing. Generally, the larger the issue, the lower the rate. Offhand, I can't tell you. I don't have a good handle on what they might be looking at in terms of possible interest rate, given the circumstances out in the general economy.
If this doesn't go through, let's say we can't come to agreement with all of these projects, right, at one time with one big bond. A project like the 8th Avenue improvements that seems to be fully, well, I guess we need a bond, but then we gotta get it back. We were gonna pay that off with the grant. That would not go through at all. That project would be squashed completely.
Yes.
Can we have that separated for a separate ordinance?
On anticipation of.
We could certainly do that. I will speak to bond counsel, but I believe that they can break it out.
What would that do for, I'm sorry.
What would that do for, is it better to borrow a larger sum or a smaller sum in instances like these?
Well, generally, the more money you seek to borrow, the lower the rate.
I guess we just, the Councilman Donovan went through the list. We don't have many details on a lot of this. We know what the 8th Avenue project is. I guess we just would have some more questions on some of the other items, or some more looking for more details.
Well, we need to take a vote. We're gonna vote for or against. I don't know, maybe you could go through the process of how these numbers have come up with, like what's the backstory on all this? Like when you say, 2 Durangos and all that, how does that information come to you to put it in the bond ordinance?
That comes from department heads. We have several meetings over the course of the winter during the preparation of the budget. And they come with their prioritized list of what they feel the borough, what we need to do to improve conditions in the borough. If you want to delay the introduction of the ordinance, you certainly can hold it until the next meeting if you choose to. It's not, but this would be the introduction, and there would be a public hearing at the next meeting.
I'm wondering why railings around Teller Pavilion are $265,000. Like, that to me is a crazy number.
That's a high-end estimate to replace the railings.
Are they
Obviously,
damaged
it's different
right
when we
now?
have to go, no.
Well, the railings that are around the pavilion now were only supposed to be temporary. They were supposed to be for a short amount of time, and then we were gonna upgrade to the aluminum railings that are along the avenue entrances. And at this point, the railings are sagging. They're a little on the wobbler side. Some of the posts are starting to rot, so it would be in the best interest to replace them at this point.
Thank you.
I think the problem for the council is that the people who are asking for these things are not here. It's a 2-step process that they've made justification to you, but we don't see it. Like I'm saying, like, why do we need a sidewalk on First Avenue? I'll use that old phrase, like, we've never had one, for how many years, and now all of a sudden we need one, and I'm not against it. I'm just saying, though, some will say, oh, why do we need it now? Or, like, why do we need a new roof? Didn't we replace it, 5 years ago? or not? Or, I mean, there has to be some justification. Is it leaking? Is it not leaking? You know, the railings on Fifth Avenue, is that something nice to have, or is it something that must be done? You know, are people getting splinters on them? You know, I think those are the issues that are, you know,
Well, I guess
that are causing questions, you know, and, you know, I don't have an opinion either way. I mean, I think if the council wants to investigate it more further, then they should not pass, you know, not vote for this, and maybe we need to have more details. What's the effect? Is there any time issue in not doing this tonight? Is there like a deadline or something we're going to miss, or you know, are we hurting ourselves by not doing this?
Not on not on the general capital items, on those grant items.
Is that microphone on?
You got to press your microphone.
I'm sorry. Not on the general capital items, on the grant items. Obviously, we have to fund, we have to fund the grants in order to move forward with the projects. We can't move forward with those projects. We can't move forward with any of this if council chooses not to introduce the ordinance tonight. But that is certainly your decision to make. If you want some additional information, we can try and provide you with the additional information. That we can hold this until the next meeting. We can provide you with additional information in the interim, and then you can determine if you have additional questions or you want to move forward with this.
Do we know what the date is for getting the funding in place? I mean, the mayor asked about timeline. What's the timeline to have this in place so that we do get the grant if we decide to move forward?
If the ordinance is introduced tonight,
I would say, I think I'm leaning towards saying, let's table this until the next meeting so that everybody here who has questions can get those questions answered, or at least have a chance to research it. And if we do that, is it going to affect the grant amount? Are we up against a deadline that we're not aware of?
not on these grants at this particular time.
And just so everyone's aware, Mr. Rico, I'm going to use your phrase, trial by ambush. This is an ordinance by ambush. We received this yesterday at 2 p.m. to decide whether or not to bond $2 million, you know, and with some of it being reimbursed. It's a big decision, and we're up here to review it and discuss it and decide the necessity of each and every one of these things. I don't want to say no to radios for the fire department or tasers for the police department, but, you know, let's just leave it there. But, you know, these are very important items, but if I have to give 48-hour notice to everybody, we should get more than that, and we should have that respect too.
You do have the right to make a motion to table it at this time if you want to.
I would like to make that motion, actually.
I'll second.
And second.
All in favor?
Aye. We need a roll call.
Councilwoman Donovan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinney?
Yes.
Councilman de Blasio?
Yes.
Councilman Maroney?
Yes.
Mayor Buckapusco?
Yes.
And I did apologize for the use of that word.
I apologize, Mr. Miguel.
The only thing I want to add is we need to come back and have more information than we have here. There's no point in tabling this and then coming back next week and still be staring at the same ordinance. Like, it has to be some more information given between now and the next meeting to make this, you know, to address the concerns that you have. How can that be done? I mean, short of having every department head sitting here telling us why they need to have the items in the agenda, maybe that's what we need to do. Maybe we need to have everyone sitting here with the council and say, you know, I need 2 Durangos because this.
Well,
Or, you know,
Mayor, if you could just give the verbal okay, I'm sure we can meet in twos with some of the staff over the next weeks when they're available.
I don't know that that's good enough. I mean, I think if we're going to postpone this and hold it, you know, as Councilman de Blasio said, you know, we got this on short notice. but I think the public also needs to know that what this money is being spent on.
I like that
On
idea.
the other side of the coin, though, you know, I always like to explain to people, bond ordinances are designed, you know, if you have $1 million bond ordinance, of course it's designed for future generations to be paying the cost of these things. You know, it's not fair, like we don't pay all this out of our current fund, but, you know, putting up a roof or building a school or doing something like that, you know, future generations will benefit on that, and that's why you have a loan, because then, you know, the taxpayers in the future are paying for that cost also. But I just do that as a public service announcement, but I think maybe we need to have, more, you know, more in-depth requests. I wouldn't be opposed to that.
I agree with that, and I'm sure every department head either wrote a letter or had a meeting with Lorraine, and that would be fine, you know, with emails or letters, and I'll reach out to everyone or request, you know, the ones that I have questions on the most, I would discuss it and email you and request for any
I would
department heads to
ask,
reach out.
I'm going to ask the council, though, to leave the questioning in public. I don't want council members reaching out to department heads directly to get information, because that's not fair to the rest of us, and I think if we're going to have them come here, and then we can all hear it at the same time. That's my only concern.
I would like to lightly push back on that, only because I think to take this job seriously, we have to be able to know what we don't know. And that can involve a more in-depth conversation. It could be asking for documents, and I think I try my best to walk the public through what I've been thinking and doing when I'm up here. But I don't see a difference between what we're doing right now and what we'll be doing in 2 weeks if I haven't had that time to prepare and ask questions ahead of time.
We could always do a work session next week. We can schedule one.
I don't think you should be limiting council to talking to department heads,
I
to the
disagree.
public.
I disagree.
Well, we're allowed to talk to the department heads, we're allowed to discuss one-on-one what their requests are, just like anybody else's.
And you'll make a report of that when you come to the next meeting?
Absolutely.
Okay. I'll agree to that if everybody writes up an email to inform all of us what has been said and what you have found out from whoever, and please make a schedule, or make sure that you're not interfering in the work that they're doing, because that is their primary goal. Right? I don't want people, you know, saying, I couldn't do this because Councilman X wanted to talk to me on that, you know, work with them in terms of their schedule. Okay, we voted on this. We're up to the next one.
Yes. Next one is ordinance 2026-10. This is a bond ordinance providing for various water sewer utility improvements and the acquisition of water sewer utility equipment, appropriating $192,500 and authorizing the issuance of $192,500 in bonds and notes to finance a portion of the cost. Would someone like to offer this ordinance for first reading and introduction?
I'll make that motion.
I will second.
Okay, is there any discussion?
Someone seconded.
Yes, I didn't know if there was any discussion before I take the vote. No? All right. Councilman Donovan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinney?
Yes.
Councilman de Blasio?
Yes.
Councilman Maroney?
Yes.
Mayor Buckafesco?
Yes.
Okay, now we're on the public session. If anyone is going to come up to speak, please remember to state your name and address first.
Linda Sharkus, 4th Avenue. I guess what I heard tonight was a concern that the bond repayment period would be 20 years, when the lifetime of the things that you're looking to get the money for is much shorter than 20 years. We don't want future generations to be paying for obsolete or old products. So that's one comment. I really don't think, I think we have to examine what the lifetime of the goods are. Second, I want to ask, there was a lot of talk about redoing the plaza with pavers. Is that still a consideration?
I think it is, yes.
Yeah.
You would-
Yeah, the bids came in too high and it's gonna be rebid.
Okay,
Okay, so
that's where we're at.
considering all our expenses, why do we need to replace those pavers? I understand the tree isn't, the piano isn't aligned with the Christmas tree, but we have far bigger problems than having squares out of alignment. And I think it would be good to reconsider or postpone that until we get our other expenses under control.
Was that project fully grant?
Was that a grant?
Or was it 50% match?
Yeah.
There was a grant for that, and the bids came in too high, and they were looking to scale it back a little bit so the grant would pay for it.
So how much was the grant
Is that
for?
right?
I'm sorry, go ahead, go ahead.
$349,000. 349.
And that money had to be spent specifically in the plaza, in Piano Plaza?
Yeah,
It was earmarked specifically for that?
correct.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Drew Fromkin, South Lake Drive. This has been a very productive meeting tonight, I have to say that. Watching this last session was excellent. Great conversation, taking our time to make decisions in the town. Mayor, I totally agree with you when you said the thing about the building. I'm not saying anything about the sidewalk. I'm sure people are complaining up the wazoo about it, but I'm saying it'd be great if, in the context of the work you're gonna be doing over the next couple of weeks to figure out these specific line items, to also bring it up another level and try to think a little bit, within my 5 minutes right there, just a little bit about the more macro issues in the town. And I appreciate the last statement. Obviously, we must have a grant for that plaza, so that has to be applied there. But we have a lot of big decisions to make in this town. And when I look at 8th Avenue, that's a big issue for the sewer line there. I understand that's, key to all the houses, but when I think about a sidewalk, when I think about railings, it may be a major issue there. I think about, I sit on South Lake Drive. That road there is a catastrophe. We have huge sewer issues. Every time the lake has a big rain, we flood. Now, I know 5th Avenue had to be dealt with, just like many of the roads. I just don't know, and I'll leave it at this, what the more macro plan is for paving and sewers and so on. And so when we look at each of these things, and I definitely want the police officer to have everything we need to protect us. That's really important. I know the equipment's expensive. We also have to think about the flooding in the basements and the damage that's going on the south side of the lake. So I would just ask you to maybe think about that in this context and prioritize. And I think as the residents, we would love to, at some point, hear the output of that prioritization in a more macro sense. What are our big issues? What do we need to apply? How do we do mid to long-term planning? And how do we look at, I thought, Mr. Kramer, I thought it was a great input about thinking about how to move things around so that seniors are not impacted the same way. And not everybody's a senior, though, is also struggling with their bills. So I appreciate it. I appreciate the sidewalk comment. Hopefully we can look at these things in a more macro way.
Just so you know, we had a whole presentation by our borough engineer a few meetings ago. You might want to look back on that.
I would like to, yeah, I tried quite a bit.
It was done, and it's probably on tape somewhere, because we went over all of the things that you mentioned. But we can certainly do that again if we need to.
I'll be praying that you were worried about our side of the lake there, but we'll see in a few minutes.
Through the chair, if I may, Mr. Funkin, that actually is a project that has a grant funded and it's partially funded. And then part of the $1.1 million grant for 8th Avenue has storm drainage improvements that will help with the water quality in the lake, because that part of 8th Avenue drains to the north to the lake. But we do have a DOT grant approval for South Lake down to the end, basically.
Well, thanks, appreciate it.
You're trying.
No, I know you're trying. I knew you were talking about that. But just the prioritization, though, is crucial, and I appreciate the rigor. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Bob Jack, 616 Fifth Avenue. I just had a question. I don't know if you could answer or somebody could direct me to someone.
about beach lockers. When I moved here 10 years ago, I put my name in for one, which I knew would be a while. And the lady said I could do one street, we did Second. We lived on Fifth, we go to the beach on Second. And each year I would go, and she said, well, you're number 3, and I have you on 2 streets. So I thought there's going to be maybe a chance. Well, 2 years ago I went, and it's a different lady now, and she said, well, they changed everything, and now everybody's on one list, which meant either all the number 1s were 1 to 20, all the number 2s, or they looked actually when we signed up. What I really couldn't understand is that if your name is the next, and the locker's on 18th, and you live on 2nd, you have to take 18th. And I didn't understand the rhyme and reason of that, and maybe somebody could possibly answer.
I'm not familiar with the day-to-day.
I mean, I went the other day, and they now told me I'm number 362.
Oh.
I mean, it's not a big deal. I didn't know we had that many lockers, and sadly, many of them are not even used. They still have the zip ties on them.
That's something we have to look into. I have to look into that and see what changed, how it changed, and how the new list came about. I'm not familiar with it myself.
Yeah, honestly, a couple of years ago, there were multiple lists, and we consolidated and put one person in charge, and I was under the understanding that she was doing a great job on the list, but we'll look into it, we'll find out where you're at, and we'll get back to you.
Okay. I know Bradley Beach had an issue in the fall. I was reading about it, but I've been away for 4 months, and I don't know whatever happened there where they were not allowing out-of-towners to go to their lockers, but that's not us.
I believe they got sued.
What?
I believe they got sued for that.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. So somebody will get back.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Any others?
Katrina Classis, 1304 B Street. I have 2 things, actually. As far as the resolution with the bond on it, did I understand you guys, you just got it like 48 hours ago? Is that what I was doing?
24.
24. Okay. Who puts that bond, all those bond things together? Whose responsibility? Is it our BA? I mean, is our BA?
No, what happens typically, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, all of that has to go to our bond counsel, correct? The bond counsel is the one who actually prepares
The bond
ordinance?
counsel prepares the ordinance so that it meets the legal requirements.
Right.
The information in the bond ordinance reflects the priority as presented to her in the list. We give her the list that tells her what projects we are looking to fund. We verify that we have enough money for the 5% down payment. We then provide a summary of what we think the bonds and notes are going to cost, are going to be.
I appreciate it, and I know
But I think the main thing to take away from this is that even if it is less than 48 hours, the council has the ability to not move it like we did tonight.
Right,
So no one's being forced to vote on something if they don't feel comfortable doing that.
I understand that, but I guess the whole, who oversees who's asking for bonds? I mean, this is what I'm a little confused about. You didn't know any of these bond requests, Mayor, I'm asking a question, but you didn't know these bond requests?
I think they all go to,
so you never looked at this beforehand as mayor?
No.
Really? So.
The information comes to me first from the department heads.
Okay.
So we have several meetings during the course of the winter to come up with what we believe to be an appropriate plan for the borough. That summary list is provided to members of council. They get a chance to review it. The information then is sent to the bond counsel so that she can put it in the proper legal format, and then it's presented as it is tonight in the form of the ordinance, and then the ordinance is either introduced or not, depending on council's opinion.
Okay, and I appreciate everybody pushing back on it a little bit, because that's an overwhelming amount of money, and B, like, to find out about something 24 hours before you need to, and I understand there's a 2-week period and all of that. I understand that. The other thing that's concerning is the amount of interest on the bond. I mean, to be able to make a decision on bonding money, but not know until you pass it how much bond interest is gonna be. Am I
We're
incorrect?
not issuing bonds with these ordinances. What we're doing is giving us the ability to issue bonds at some point in the future. That's a totally different process, and you would know what the interest rate is going to be. There's a bid process if the borough was to do that on its own. If we go through the MCIA, they generally give you an estimate of what the interest costs are going to be based on prior experience with similar issues.
So each one would be individually, you pass that, all of those, and then individually, each one would be taken, and you would bond?
Not individually, the ordinance as a whole.
Oh, okay, okay, all right. Wow, okay, one more thing I wanted to just bring up, and I know it's a sore subject for a lot of people, and there's nothing in, and I could be wrong about this because I didn't read the budget because that's way above my pay grade, but we have a building sitting on 12th Avenue, and that building we're paying for, and that building has a major environmental issue. It's been, since this administration has come on board, it's like we're in our 3rd year, and nothing has been done with that building, and in the meantime, our environmental issue is getting worse. I want to know, is there any plan anywhere, nobody even talks about it, where across the street from an elementary school, this brown site, I guess it's called, right, is leaching over.
A lot is being done about that, but it's not subject to public review at this point.
Why?
Because there's a potential of litigation, and we are on top of it though. So even though you see that nothing's being done, there's a lot has been done. So the public will be made aware of that as soon as we can,
people all know that things are being done?
We're having a meeting tonight about that.
Finally, okay.
Not finally, it's been a long time going.
Okay,
and
is it
and
possible?
we've had to go through council, everything is being done correctly, legally, so that once we decide what is going to do, council will be making that decision, and they'll have all the information they need to move forward with that.
So you couldn't talk about this at all during this period of time, just like you did with all of the other things when we had redevelopment?
This is not affordable housing. This is a piece of property that the borough purchased that was contaminated at the time of purchase. We're not going to talk about that any further.
Okay. Well, can we have an expectation of this? Will this ever be done anytime soon?
I won't add the phrase anytime soon, but it will be addressed as well as it can. It's actually being addressed as we speak, so you'll hear about it.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Thank you. Layla Marks, 605 Ocean. I'm not going to talk about the sign ordinance tonight because you're not going to vote on it. But I do have more comments about it for next time. I do want to talk, though, about the beach utility issue that came up earlier. Mr. Pringle's not here anymore, but he's probably aware of it, and he didn't bring it up. Maybe he's not aware of it. Maybe none of you are aware of it. But there is legislation that's in committee right now in New Jersey, right? So you know about it.
I was going to bring it up, actually. Yeah.
I just want to read a couple things quickly into the record because I think people that might listen to this later, then they'll know about it and they can look into it if they want. So there was a bill that was in committee. It was the Assembly Tourism Committee. It was last week, May 7th. And the Assembly version was amended in committee, which famously, for anybody that watches the New Jersey legislature, you never know what's actually going to get voted on in committee until during the committee and or after the committee, because they're still working out the details. But so the amended version of the bill, the name of the bill, or the bill description, requires certain municipalities to include certain information concerning beach costs and revenues in municipalities' public access plan. They did amend it, and one of the committee amendments, actually, I was a little surprised, but I don't know that much about municipal land use law, and I'm not sure if that's the reason why they added it. But for our camps that are on the beach, now they would also have to be included in these revenue and also these estimates, I guess, going forward in time. And this is something that would happen on a yearly basis based on this version. Now, that's the assembly version. It's going to be in committee on Monday the 18th in the Senate. And probably they'll adopt these amendments, but they might have something completely different, and we won't find out about it until Monday. I did hear somebody from the League of Municipalities was there. The League is against it, as everybody would expect. I did also hear a guy from Seaside, I think he was from Seaside Heights or Seaside Park, but he mentioned that in the case of their municipal master plan, which this touches, that theirs wasn't even approved from 10 years ago. I don't know where we're at with ours, but I guess they're just all concerns because we really don't know. I would imagine we can make estimates, but the pushback from, I'll just leave it at this. There's definitely influencers, we've seen them come here and give the whole spiel about people shouldn't have to pay for beach badges. I see it, in certain online venues. I think that there's an opportunity for Belmar, for other shore towns, to be responsible and show the public where the money's going for beach expenses, but at the same time to, give people an understanding or at least an appreciation of the amount of work that everybody in this borough, borough employees, you as mayor and council, committees, that they all put into even creating all of what makes our beach function. And so, the money is what it is. Obviously, we have the public trust doctrine that we have to abide by. But I would be interested to hear any comment, and I also would be interested to hear if anybody, the senator who sponsored the bill, or who runs that committee, is a Monmouth County senator. And I don't know if there's been any discussion. It just seems a little bit unfair, but maybe that's because of the way the municipal land use law is, and maybe we have to give those numbers, but we didn't until now, or we won't until now.
We have always.
I mean, the number. My comment too is you guys have put it all. It's there.
Our budgets have always.
Absolutely, in the beach.
We have spreadsheets that you can see how many badges are sold.
Absolutely, I know that. We all know that in this room. But the general public and the people who are online stirring up narratives about, the beaches.
Everybody's an expert online. Did you know that?
Yeah, I know.
Because I do try to keep abreast of the beach-related legislation that goes on in the Assembly and the Senate, because I know that Belmar has had an unfortunate tendency to become in the limelight.
Yes.
And the other thing is that as much as free beaches can have the moral high ground, I think on a very, very basic level, my question for that is always like, well, where in teachers' pensions are we paying for the beach on the state level?
100%.
Because we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars we would have to be appropriating on the state level to do that. And I look at this, and I think there's a lot of momentum amongst certain corridors to try and come down harder on beach towns as far as transparency and other issues. And I think it's only smart and savvy of us to be on top of that as much as possible, to be an example a good example rather than a poor one. So with you 100% on that. And I know I consulted with our attorney when that bill was introduced. I think it was the last year's version. And the problem with it was that it requires amending the master plan annually, which is a very weird way to do that.
It seems unfair to the shore towns, was my impression on reading it.
Now, I'm not a lawyer and I'm not quoting him directly, but I think your basic premise was that it was unnecessarily cumbersome. There was just more transparent, easily, more accessible ways for the public to get that information that we could provide.
I think I said it shorter than that.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Notorious for brevity over
I
there.
didn't use cumbersome or anything like that. It's more colorful.
Just so you know, though, in general, the biggest expense of the beach utility is personnel,
Absolutely.
salaries and wages. And that's lifeguards, everyone who works on the beach, that is the biggest expense. So, whatever the law becomes, we will comply with. If they're requiring more information, if they want to know, how many cars parked on the beach, we'll have to count them, I guess. But, they get that revenue. The cars that park along the boardwalk, that's all beach revenue. That does not come to the town. Right? Mr. Pringle was the one who gave us that in his lawsuit. So.
Fair enough. Yeah, just one last comment on it, and I think that you touched on that. The people are the expense, but those people are also our first line of defense. They know what's going on the beach. I think looking forward in time, there will be a push to have, not people there, drones, cameras, whatever. I don't know that that's going to happen next year or next decade. I hope it doesn't, but I would be happy to come up here every time and say that we need those people there. Because they're part of our community and they're part of our local economy. So, I appreciate anything that you guys can do as electeds to actually talk. Because, I could go out to Trenton, I could make an arrangement to get there, and I could say some things as a private citizen, but frankly, they already have the script. They know what they're going to do. So me showing up would be limited. We'll put it like that. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Okay, can I have a motion to close the public session?
I'll make a motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next we have one last item, is a resolution to go into executive session. Resolution 2026-97, whereas it has been determined by the Borough Council that it is necessary to discuss the following specific matter at its regular meeting in the absence of the public, which is attorney-client privilege matters pending a potential litigation and contract negotiations. And whereas Open Public Meetings Act permits the Borough Council to exclude the public from that portion of a public meeting during which such matters are discussed. Now therefore be it resolved by the Borough Council as follows, that the council shall recess into a private executive session from which the public shall be excluded to discuss the above referenced matters, that the scope of the executive session shall be limited to the above matters as stated, that those matters discussed in executive session shall remain confidential until such time as the need for confidentiality no longer exists as determined by the borough attorney, and that minutes of the closed session shall be taken and kept free from public review until such time that the need for confidentiality no longer exists, and then the regular meeting of the council shall resume after the private executive session, at which time the borough council may take action in reference to the topics discussed. Do we have a motion to adopt this resolution?
I'll make a motion. Second.
Councilwoman Donovan?
Yes.
Councilwoman King?
Yes.
Councilman De Blasio?
Yes.
Councilman Barone?
Yes.
Mayor Bucklesko?
Yes.
You just mute it. Walker, just mute it.
back in public session. I think, Mr. McGill, are you gonna put a resolution on the record, or do we have?
Do you have a comment?
You know, let's have a simple, no, I'm not gonna prepare a resolution
Okay.
with whereases and stuff. Let's just have a motion to extend the, police, and I'll put it in writing, but it's gonna be simple. So, a motion to, extend the contract for police services with Lake Como to January 1. If we could have that motion?
Well, wait, because we were saying we didn't want to go to January 1 because that was
December 31st.
December 31st.
December 31st.
In November, we would start renegotiating.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
All right, motion to renew the current police contract and extend it until December 31st, 2026.
Motion.
Second.
Councilwoman Donovan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinney?
Yes.
Councilman De Blasio?
Yes.
Councilman Maroney?
Yes.
Mayor McFusco?
Yes.
All right, and then can I have a motion to
Motion.
adjourn?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I love